In the middle of an emergency meeting at midnight, CEO Serafina Caldwell was seconds away from signing a $1 billion contract when single-father janitor Archie Flynn accidentally knocked water onto her laptop. Everyone froze. The screen went dark with a sharp hiss, then flickered back to life, revealing something no one expected: a strange window displaying email screenshots, proprietary blueprints, and backup logs secretly uploading to Meridian servers. Serafina whipped around, ready to fire Archie on the spot. But he looked her straight in the eye and said, "Now, do you see why I had to do that? If Archie hadn't spilled that water, the entire technology would have been stolen. But who was he really? And how did he know about the attack before anyone else?" Whitmore Tower rose 48 stories above Manhattan, its glass facade catching the city lights like frozen rain. On the 48th floor, the boardroom was all steel and transparency, designed to make executives feel powerful and exposed at the same time. 21 floors below, the security operations center hummed with servers and monitoring screens. And 2 levels beneath the lobby, in basement 2, sat the utility rooms where maintenance workers kept the building's arteries flowing, a world most employees never saw. The company was in the middle of what they called Security Audit Month, a phrase that made everyone nervous. But the real pressure came from somewhere else entirely. Whitmore Technologies was preparing to finalize a contract for Project Aquila, a revolutionary smart water sensor chip that could detect contaminants in real time and transmit data through the water itself. The technology was worth billions. It was also a target. Serafina Caldwell hadn't slept properly in 3 days. At 34, she was the youngest CEO in Whitmore's history, and the board never let her forget it. Chief Financial Officer Henry Dalton had been breathing down her neck all week, insisting they needed to close the Meridian deal immediately to stabilize the stock price. The pressure was suffocating, but there was something else eating at her, something she couldn't name. 2 years ago, a smaller project had leaked before launch, and she'd never figured out how. Since then, she'd become meticulous, paranoid even, double-checking every access log herself. She wore her mother's ring on her right hand, a thin silver band that reminded her of the one piece of advice her mother had given her before she died: trust the right people, not just the powerful ones. Her wardrobe was armor. Tonight, she wore a red V-neck bodycon dress under a charcoal blazer, her blonde hair falling in waves past her shoulders. She kept blueprint drafts in an encrypted vault on the company's internal network, accessible only through biometric authentication and her personal password. She thought it was secure. She was about to learn otherwise. Archie Flynn pushed his cleaning cart down the empty hallway of the 48th floor, the wheels squeaking softly against the polished marble. At 36, he'd been working the night shift as a janitor for 3 years. Most people saw the uniform and the mop bucket and stopped looking. They didn't see the man who used to be a network security engineer, who'd once designed intrusion detection systems for a major tech firm before everything fell apart. 4 years ago, Archie had been framed by a colleague who'd stolen his credentials to cover up a security breach. The project collapsed. Archie had evidence that could have cleared his name, but using it would have meant dragging himself and his 8-year-old daughter Audrey through a years-long legal battle. He'd chosen differently. He'd walked away, taken the blame silently, and found work that let him be home when Audrey got off the school bus. Janitor work. Simple, honest, and visible. But Archie hadn't stopped being an engineer. He noticed things. He saw when network cables were improperly shielded, when smoke detectors blinked in patterns that meant faulty firmware, when access card readers logged failed attempts at odd hours. He carried a multi-tool keyring that could open most mechanical locks in the building, a microfiber cleaning cloth that doubled as an anti-static wrap, and a USB drive containing checksum verification tools that worked offline. He learned the hard way to never trust a network he didn't control. His daughter Audrey was brilliant in the way only 8-year-olds can be, seeing connections adults miss. She loved robotics and water science, filling their apartment with sketches of machines that turned water droplets into signal carriers. One drawing showed a single drop of water splitting light into a rainbow of data streams. Archie had pinned it to their refrigerator. He didn't know yet that it was a blueprint for the very thing Whitmore was trying to protect. Clinton Rhee was Serafina's executive assistant, and he was very good at his job, too good, some might say. At 32, he had the kind of face that made people trust him instantly, smooth and earnest, with just the right amount of concern in his eyes. He was always the first to arrive and the last to leave, always ready with a solution when deadlines tightened. He had a habit of mentioning urgent timelines whenever someone questioned his requests for access, making it seem unreasonable to slow him down with protocols. In his wallet, he carried 2 building access cards. One was his official employee badge. The other was marked Visitor Contractor, and had been issued 6 months ago for a vendor who'd long since completed their work. Clinton had kept it. No one had noticed. That second card had opened the vault room door 3 times in the past week, always after midnight, always when he was certain the cameras in that particular corridor were on their maintenance loop. Leo Bennett ran the IT department with an engineer's precision and a teacher's patience. He believed in process, in documentation, and making sure every system change was logged and reviewed. He was 41, wore the same blue Oxford shirt in 5 different shades, and got genuinely angry when people bypassed security protocols for convenience. Lately, he'd been losing those arguments more often than he won them. Clinton's urgent requests kept getting approved by executives who didn't want to be blamed for missing deadlines. Vivian Brooks handled public relations with the calculating eye of someone who'd survived 3 corporate scandals and learned that the cover-up was always worse than the crime. Amanda Pierce, the chief legal counsel, had the same philosophy. Both women had been warning Serafina for weeks that signing the Meridian deal before completing the security audit was legally and reputationally reckless. But Henry Dalton had the board's ear, and the board wanted quarterly numbers that made shareholders happy. The emergency meeting on the 48th floor had been going for 2 hours when Archie's cart appeared in the hallway outside the boardroom. Through the glass walls, he could see Serafina, Henry, Clinton, and Leo gathered around the conference table, documents spread out like a paper war. The Meridian Memorandum of Understanding sat in the center, waiting for